Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to your reading, and thank you for joining me today. I'm excited for your reading. I felt another shift in the energy today. The last one I felt was with the new moon on Tuesday, or on the 16th, and so now it's just different again. And I don't really have a feel for it yet. I'm just like feeling into it, but I knew I was going to do your reading today, and I know it's not a coincidence that today is landing on the Scorpio reading. So I'm sure it's going to reflect in your reading, just because everything's magic like that, you know? It's all a reflection. So I'm going to get an overall energy and just see where this wants to go. Sometimes I have like a feel, but because the energy has just shifted, and I don't have my finger on it, I don't. Okay. Mouse spirit, tend to the small things. Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to set that here and move into the tarot. Look at it while I shuffle here. Tend to the small things. Okay, we get the Seven of Air. Seven of Air. Okay, so Seven of Air being kind of like the strategizing card, kind of the mind card. For me, this is sort of like the old energy. This translates to me as the old energy, the old paradigm, the old game, you know, and it's like we're moving into a new game, we're moving into higher frequencies, we're moving into a new relationship with the truth of reality, with the truth of ourselves. And so this representing the old game, this being, you know, tending to the small things. This can be a hyper focus of the mind as well. So, but let's keep going. I'm going to get the Light Seers deck. This is a new deck for me, and there's so much detail in these cards. And because they're new, I'm getting like new transmissions off of them. Okay, Judgment. Judgment. Okay, so here we go. And I love this card. So speaking of the higher energy, speaking of you know, higher versions of ourselves. Look at her. It's like she's tuning in, she's communing. But see, what I'm seeing in this card right now is sort of like a form of liberation. It looks like liberation, like there's this sacred moment, this holy moment of this sacred holy moment of pause and release. That's what it feels like to me. Pause and release. Releasing yourself from an old pattern, okay, from this old kind of energy. But let's get a little bit more. I'm going to get one more from this deck. Another one from this deck. Okay, Nine of Pentacles and the Eight of Wands. Okay. Okay, so it's like you're coming home to yourself. You're coming home to yourself. There's a lot of like you rushing back in. Okay, this is the card, the Nine of Pentacles. This is, I mean, in this deck particularly, she's really happy. She's really happy. She's in her happy place. So she has everything that she needs. She has her life, her routine, her company, her what she chooses to expose herself to, who she chooses to expose herself to, and for how long. She has all of that dialed in so that she's just happy playing, dancing in life. And so there's a lot of energy. On the one hand, there's a lot, it's a lot of you. It's a lot of you. You have you surrounded by you. You have you surrounded by you. So another way of saying this is like you have your support system in place where you're just held, but it was kind of like your creation. It was like you had this moment. That's what I'm feeling from this. You had this moment where you kind of like I don't know, almost like you came home to yourself. Well, this is interesting because your last reading was pretty intense actually, but it was talking about remerging with yourself and kind of like being in an environment. Was this card even one of the themes, like being in an environment that was confusing and tricky and then getting out of that, moving out of that? So is this kind of a continuation of the story with, you know, just kind of, okay, so let's just keep going. But anyway, the message that's really coming through right now is like you had this moment, this holy moment where it's almost like you claimed yourself, like you chose yourself, and all of a sudden your hologram started shifting where you know, maybe we're making different choices, maybe you made a grand choice. But this is the energy that I feel that you're in right now. You're in this gorgeous energy of you-ness, you know, where everything's kind of dialed right. Like you get up in the morning and you have that special cup of tea that you like, and you put in all like your healing herbs or whatever you do. You're taking care of you, and then you know, you might like, you're just doing special things for yourself. You're surrounding yourself with everything that feels good. You know, you put on the right music, the music that you like, and maybe you had been held away. Again, maybe you had been held away from yourself for a while. And if this is a continuation from that story, if this is the same collective, you know, which you read for a certain collective. So, okay, where it's like now, whereas before you were kind of leaving this and kind of like, oh gosh, you know, like getting your head back, now you have your head back, right? Like that holy moment came where you flooded back in, you made that connection, and now your hologram is reflecting that. Why do I just want to like relish in this a little bit more? Like, you know, just feel into it, where it's like you buy yourself your favorite flowers, you know, you eat your favorite foods. And again, I'm getting the feeling that maybe some of those things you weren't able to do for a while because of the company that you were in. You couldn't really, maybe it didn't even feel safe to express yourself, your true self, because you kind of had to keep that part of you hidden or something like that to kind of survive the situation. Or maybe you were just out of touch with that because it's kind of energy to just kind of contract you. But now there's this explosion of you. Okay. I'm not quite clear yet what the mouse, tend to the small things. And although, however, and maybe that's why I wanted to like keep going on and on about the details of your life and how juicy and wonderful it is. The small things, it's like every little thing mattering, because when we're nurturing ourselves and we're creating an energy, especially if we've been in an energy where we haven't been held and we haven't been tended to, either from ourselves as an extension or through our environment or other people as an extension, it's like, you know, sometimes it can take a bit of a focus to be like, oh wait, like, oh shit, I matter, and like all these little things matter. Okay, I think that's what's coming through about this. Like tend to these small things, like tend to that special. Let's talk about it more, because it really felt like I wanted to go into it. Tend to that drink in the morning that like nourishes your body, you know, like start the day with like lemon water or whatever to rehydrate and to stimulate your liver, and you know, whatever, like feel into the right like supplements or herbs that like really speak to your body. Like maybe your adrenals have been taxed and you want to like, you know, take some Tulsi, or maybe your hormones got out of whack and you want to take some Vitex if you're a woman, and you know, or whatever it is, right? Like starting the day with these self-loving rituals that really tell you that you love you, tell your body and tell yourselves that you love you. Maybe you have maybe you love to like run, or you love to swim, or you love water, and so taking time to do those things, you know, to incorporate those things into, this could be kind of like a Virgo energy, a sixth house, and sixth, I feel like I'm stuttering or I'm lisping or something, but it's okay. Just bear with me. But, you know, sixth house energy of our daily routine, you know, our daily routine where we're taking care of ourselves. But I'm really seeing this as an opportunity to like tell yourself in all the ways you can, in subconscious ways, set up your day in a way, maybe that's what you're doing, setting up your day in a way that really tells yourself that you matter and that you love yourself, and supporting yourself in body, supporting yourself in mind, supporting yourself again, like with the music or the people that you talk to, and all that. Okay, so I think we fleshed that out. I was going to do the Tarot of the Hidden Realm, the Elven deck, Fairy deck. Okay, let's see, what else do we get? What else does it want to say? What else do we want to say for Scorpio today? Okay, Tower. We get the Tower. And in this deck, you know, in some decks, the Tower is a little bit more gentle. This one, it's kind of intense. You know, it's dark colors. There's some screaming going on. It's kind of a foreboding card. Let's see what else wants to come out with that. It might be talking about, you know, what happened when you were getting out of this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there was a Tower moment. You left this. And what were we saying? Like, this is like the old energy. This is the old way. This is the old. It's either the old part of your life, or literally the old frequency. The old frequency from an older state of consciousness that you've now outgrown. And so this kind of hologram no longer suits you. It can't stay in your field anymore. This Tower moment came along. I think this came up in the last one too. This Tower moment came along. It was like time's up. The divine timing of like, okay, humanity is moving on to a higher timeline right now, and you are a part of humanity. So whatever work you were doing, whatever alchemical work you were doing in this part of your life trek, in this part of your mission, because I'm seeing this a lot. I'm seeing this a lot right now. I'm feeling this a lot with that new moon, that shift in the new moon, where we have a certain mission in our life, and for like up until around this point, we were playing it out in the old energy because that was the only energy that was available to us. But now these higher frequencies are the dominating energy. So it's like whatever we were working on, it's like the destined timing of like, it's time to change form. It's time to have all of our expressions in our life and our actions be rewoven. And that's what this is, rewoven into the higher energies. And what are the higher energies? But our higher selves, our higher truth, our true selves, our true selves being expressed in our lives, in our hologram, in our day-to-day, in tiny little ways that make up everything. Look at all these. They're all different sizes. They make up everything. There's plants. We're on the earth. We're interacting. We're interacting with the earth. This isn't a connecting to the higher self, to the higher aspects, in this sort of like meditative, like going within and receiving messages. This is like all of life being an oracle. It's like what I was kind of saying. Was I saying that? Like right before your reading, there was like this big. It was either an eagle or a buzzard. I think it might have been a buzzard, but there are eagles around here, and sometimes I confuse them because it was windy and he was solo and he was kind of diving. I was like, that could be an eagle. But either way, like right as I started this reading, it came up and went over it like this, reading all the world as an oracle. Okay, so it's like, and this was coming up in the Cancer reading as well. So it's really interesting because it makes a lot of sense to me, whereas before when this denser energy was dominating, it was dominating on the earth. It's like we kind of had to leave and check out to receive higher, to receive our spirit messages, or to receive any semblance of something higher, a higher frequency, because everything was so dense. Okay, so it's like we might have been able to find messages and synchronicity in the world if we really tried and we really paid attention. But now I feel like that's becoming the dominant way, where it's like the dominant frequency on the planet right now is lighter. It's lighter. It's a higher frequency. I feel like I'm having trouble finding my words. I think because I talk about this kind of stuff so much that sometimes I'm like, I'm just repeating myself. So I get lazy about like describing it, but you know what I mean, right? Okay, so it's like this dominant frequency is a more truth-based reality rather than this like linear head-oriented. It's a more heart-based, a more soul-based, a more spirit-based reality. It's dominating. So therefore, the way that we're maneuvering on the earth and in our lives is integrated with this higher energy, whereas before it was integrated more with distortion, with the mind, with the programming, with the conditioning. So we were attracting in situations, karmic situation, things like this, into our lives as part of our service and how we were awakening ourselves. And just, anchoring higher light onto the planet, that's just kind of like what the game was at that time. It's not just that like we were playing a false game and now we're coming into the true reality. It's that literally like what we were here, what our missions were, but the way they were expressing on the earth plane were through this distorted energy. Okay, so again, this kind of being a theme coming up. Now it's expressing through the higher energy. Okay, I hope I'm making sense. Through the higher energy, which means everything is changing. Okay, even our way of relating to our higher selves in spirit, where we're relating in these ways where everything is an oracle. Okay, everything is an oracle. The bird flying over, it's kind of like here, it's kind of dusty right now because there are a lot of winds. The winds of change, all of that being related to your message because I'm the one bringing the message through. So all of it, all of life being an oracle. Everyone you meet is a reflection of your higher self speaking to you. Every animal that you meet, every interaction that you have, everything that you read, everything, right? Because we're coming out of this needing to be our reflection, this lower energy needing to be our reflection, so that we can awaken and remember and birth and anchor these higher energies. The higher energies, it's a collective tower moment as well, where it's like time humanity. It's time humanity. Something has cracked open, and but what these cards came up with is shifting onto a new path, a new spirit-led path, with the page of fire, with the 10 of cups. Okay, so this is like the heaven on earth card. This is the heaven on earth card. This is what we've all felt in our dreams. You wake up in the morning and you're like, oh God, I'm back here. I was here all night long. It's like this is starting to land. These higher frequencies, these higher timelines. The higher timelines are starting to land because the frequency that's anchored on the planet through the cycles that we're in, with the solar cycle and all the flares that we've been having and where we're at in the photon belt and the information that we're receiving cosmically, all the ways that all the prophecies, everything that's indicating that this is the time. Okay, it truly is the time. Truly is the time. Humanity is landing. We're landing on a new timeline. We're at the very beginning of it. Okay, so this really showing up in your reading, Scorpio. And it's always expresses itself differently through the different signs, through the different elements. But for you today, it's really, really highlighting you're on this new timeline. The heaven on earth, helping to anchor it. You've done a lot of work. You've done a lot of work alchemizing in this lower timeline. but the change has come. It's already happened. I feel this is very much in the past or in the recent past for you, especially because of that last reading that we did, where it's like, you know, it was a destined time for you to move out of this and into this. It's like this part of your mission is up, and now you get to play on the earth, and you get to play on the earth as a reflection of you, the true you, which is a reflection of the oneness that we all are. You know what I mean? So this is the heaven on earth. This is the heaven on earth energy, and you're at the beginning of this. But again, what this reading was really highlighting more than anything else, because the overall energy was tend to the small things, was this sort of like day-to-day choice in every single moment, in every single instance that you can. You know, it's like, is this something that serves me? Is this something that reflects the energy that I identify as myself? Does this match me? Does this person match me? Does this thing I'm listening to match me? Does it excite me? Does it give me butterflies because I recognize something of myself in it? Is there that resonance? And if not, then turn it off. If you're not resonating with this reading, turn it off. You know, it's like just really, really paying attention to those little things and allowing, I was going to say making sure, but that's too directive. It's like just allowing this celebration of yourself and allowing yourself to swim in you everywhere you go, because that is the heaven on earth energy. Because the higher you, the you that you identify as the true you is the same exact energy that is the truth of reality. It's like okay, so I was talking about this in the new moon reading, where I felt that shift. I did a collective reading if you haven't seen it, and I was talking about that, how it's like there were these two cards that were representing the truth of reality, and how the truth of reality was like really, really close. Like it was all around us, where the outer energy for so long was like this. Like we might have been this might have been our internal energy, but the only option we had out here was this. And so we had to like interact with these situations and these people, and like, you know, try to hold on to this amidst of it. And then meanwhile, we're kind of like alchemizing this and kind of like, you know, breaking it up. And if we don't know we're doing it right, we're kind of like infiltrating this energy with our light. But now finally, this is the dominant energy. Okay, so this is the shift that I felt with the new moon, and that's what was really coming through. That this is the dominant energy. So now the energy around us reflects the energy within us, okay, because it's one thing. We're coming into oneness. We're coming into unity consciousness. So that's why it's really easy to now read all of life as an oracle, because all of life is reflecting our energy, which is oneness, okay, rather than this distortions. This is just so freaking exciting. And this is where we're at, and this is where you're at, Scorpio, okay? So, but at the very beginning of this, heaven on earth, okay? But you're in the garden. You've already stepped through this. This is what tells us. You've already stepped through, okay? Your divine moment, because this is a divine timing card as well, these two cards. This was your divine moment to choose yourself. But you were destined to choose yourself at this time. So it's kind of like, you know, there's divine will, but we also have to play our part, but we're always destined to play our part. So, but it still feels like a choice in a moment, you know, because we're on this earth track experiencing these things. So this was your moment. There's something about sort of the shapes of these cards also that, you know, like with, I don't know, just something about them, you know, the way this goes way up and this goes way up, and there's the tower and they're falling, but as you fall, you receive yourself, right? You fall out of this, which can feel kind of like drastic and heavy and scary, but then you fall into yourself. You fall into the garden. You fall in. So you've done this, okay? So now again, the message being how to embellish every aspect of your life, to enjoy and play in embellishing every aspect of your life with you, you know, with the expression of you, which is the expression of oneness, and how we are now on our missions anchoring the heaven on earth timeline, which is by playing in ourselves. You know what I mean? Playing in ourselves, playing in the reflection of ourselves. That's the service. The service now is play. Whereas before it was, you know, breaking apart, you know, like cracking open, you know, having to like be so, and just be so, you know, far away from the truth and from ourselves, that we have to like, you know, just harness all of our power in that dark to like birth our light. Okay, well you've done that. So now we get to play. Okay, now you get to play. I'm gonna choose an angel card. We're at 19 minutes. I have those underneath. I probably just wiggled you. I wiggled the camera. All right, I'm going to pull an angel card. Let's see what we get. Retreat. Okay. It's that's interesting. I got the same card this morning for myself. But like retreat, well, and this makes sense too, because right now, you know, the point is kind of, okay, well, it's interesting because the card that I got for myself was, and maybe this is part of the energetic shift that is going on today, which is very related to you, so I'll talk to you about it because it's related to your reading. I got the communion card, and so I was like, oh, okay, communion, coming together with people. But then I got this retreat card, and I got like some other cards, like Queen of Swords, swords that were like, you know, having boundaries. Oh, and I got the Wasp, which was like life stings. I'm like, what's going on? What is this message? But it was kind of like that. It's like the communion energy was I realized was very much about what I was talking about here, where it's like a communion with all of life. It's a communion with the truth of reality. It's a retreating from kind of like the world, or maybe even like, you know, definitely a retreating from this energy, you know, because it's, even though, you know, you in this reading is very clear that you've stepped into this higher timeline, but it's like, okay, I think this is what it is. It's like, take the time to really retreat into your own inner garden, and again, embellish all every little detail of your life to match you. And that's what's most important right now. That's what's most important, to really kind of pull. But see, the thing is, and I think this is why was coming up earlier, it's not like pulling into yourself in this sort of like quiet, meditative, I mean, it can be quiet and meditative, but this way where you're really just like within yourself. You're not. You're playing in the world. You're playing, you know, in relation to others. Like the retreat being, okay, I got it. The retreat is relational. It's communal. But not communal in the old way. Not communal in the old way where we're just being social or we're getting together with people. Again, that discernment to make sure that everything is a reflection of the wholeness and the oneness and the truth of you and the truth of reality. So again, it's kind of like communing with the world in a different way. Communing with, it's like everything's different, okay? Communion is now retreat, and retreat is now communion. Whereas before, retreat used to mean like, you know, pull into yourself and kind of shut everything out. Now retreat is kind of like allow yourself to like, you know, like relate to life as if it's the goddess, because it is. You know, the goddess energy, like all of the earth as an oracle, all of the earth is wanting to talk to you and communicate with you and play with you, being in the world in this new energy. That's part of how we live in this new energy. We retreat from the old ways, but when we retreat into spiritual communion, it's spiritual communion through synchronicity, through deep, intimate, communing with your higher self through the expression of the outer world. Okay, that came up in the Cancer reading. That's heaven on earth. That's heaven on earth, where everything is God, everything is love, everything is talking to you, everything is your higher self, leading you. And it's not even like deeper and deeper into oneness, because once you're in oneness, once you're in the garden, you're in the garden, you're just playing, okay? So I think it's really interesting that for both you and for me, this sort of like paradox of retreat and play came up. So I think that that's sort of something that's different, shifting in the energy. So anyway, let me get another card here. I'm gonna pull from this other oracle deck. I never remember the name of it. You might know this deck. It's very earthy. Okay, and it's just one word. Yeah, okay, new beginnings. New beginnings. Doesn't this feel like the higher timeline? Doesn't this feel like play? There's the fairy. What do fairies do? We play. Oh, sorry, there was a fly right on the, I think it was right on the camera. We play, you know, we play. We're in our power. We're in all this gorgeous golden yellow energy where, you know, this is you. This is you, the fairy, playing in your new beginning. Here it is again. Your new beginning. Your new beginning, playing, creating a life and a hologram that perfectly matches you, but there's no effort in this. There's no effort. It's just an expression. It's an expression. So I feel like this is a conversation about the new energy that you're in, and about, you know, some little details, Scorpio, about how to how like maybe like what the focus is, because sometimes when we're in a very new beginning and we're in a very new energy, and you know we've you know, been in this energy for a really long time, you know, even though clearly this is over, clearly you've made this choice. It's like, it's just a new conversation. It's a new game. It's a new language, you know, and maybe, you know, it just needed to be talked about and emphasized. It's a new beginning. It's a new game. It's a new way. and to just really kind of release, kind of really let all this go. It's close enough in your, it's still showing up in your reading, so it's close enough in your hologram that the energy's still kind of there wafting around. You know, that's why I'm saying this, because it still showed up. So, you know, the energy's still kind of there. But, you know, the directive being to just kind of let it go. Kind of let it go. Take your mind off of this. Put your mind on the little things, the little, you know, details of your day, and how that's going to support you. Not only support you, but how that's going to be really freaking fun. Really freaking fun as you're this fairy playing. Oh, it's funny. It's funny because that was coming up in the Virgo reading too. It's like the themes express themselves over and over again, but like for them it was the elven energy, which is kind of this elven energy of like going down to the stream and just playing. So a lot of energy as we're going through these shifts, as these higher frequencies are landing, we're starting to have them flesh out in our lives, because we really are on the other side of, you know, it's like that divine timing of like, we're on the other side of the old ways. We're on the other side of the kind of the old mission and what we were doing. Okay. So, but it's like, we've done it for so long. This came up in the new moon energy reading as well. It's like, we're in such a new energy that we can almost miss it. Like, it's so subtle and it's so natural and it's so beautiful. And because this energy is still kind of hanging around, you know, we can kind of just like keep looking back over there. We can kind of like recreate this stuff. It's not going to have, it's kind of like castles in the sand. We can recreate them. They're just going to fall down again. But it's like, just to like have like a powwow and to be like, hey, let's bring our consciousness to the fact that we really don't need to do this anymore because it's over. We've done the work we needed to do here. You know, we've had our tower moment. We're on the new path. We're in the garden now. We're walking into this heaven on earth, and now let's just play in it. Let's put our mind on the details of this. Let's take our mind off the old and know that like we can allow this to collapse. We can allow it to collapse because the foundation of this new energy is strong enough now that it's going to carry us. I think before it was a little hard to step over here because it was like there weren't many people here, there wasn't much energy here. You really had to like be, you know, and you kept getting pulled back into this anyway because you weren't quite done yet. And it's like, well, I can come over. It's kind of like when you have like, you're a kid and you have like your parents are divorced and your one parent's really controlling and kind of uptight and your other one's really like, you know, just you can really be yourself. But when you're with the one where you be yourself, you know you have to go back to that other parent, so you can't quite relax. You're always just kind of like, you know. I think that's where we were for a really long time. But now it's like, you know, you're grown up. You know, you're like old enough now, you get to choose. You can choose like maybe to live with that other parent, or you can choose to create your own life like based on the things that, you know, you wished you had all the time when you were a kid. I'm not, my parents are together, I'm not divorced, but you know, my kids, I'm speaking from kind of like their, you know, their realm, but anyway, now you can create your own life. You have the freedom to do that. So that's kind of the analogy now, and it's like, just let's let go of the past, because it truly is over. We truly are collectively in this new beginning. And for you, Scorpio, the message really being on, again, just like, you know, keeping your mind on what you're building, because it's going to be really, really fun. In fact, I feel that it already is already. This feels so Scorpio to me, when Scorpio is in their luscious, juicy energy, just like playing and spreading their light and vibrancy and sensuality around. Like, doesn't that feel like Scorpio? Doesn't that feel like you? Like, it's so you. It's so my closest Scorpio in this lifetime. Like, this is her. So anyway, I kind of want to pull just like one. Oh my God, it's almost a half hour. These readings are getting longer. I feel like there's more information coming through, but I do kind of want to, I'm just going to look on the bottom of this deck. I'm going to have one kind of like summary parting message. 9 of Cups. That's right. Wish fulfillment. This is a time of wish fulfillment. It's finally here. It's finally here for you, Scorpio, where you can trust that. These nightmares, what word do I want to use? These sacred passages, they're sacred. They were very much part of your mission, very much part of your journey. You did them. You receive the reward now. You receive the reward. You get what you want. You get what you want on the soul level. You get to live in a life that reflects you and matches you. You get to play. You get to feel love. You get to feel the truth of your soul, the truth of who you are, reflected all around you, because you're at home with yourself now. So beautiful parting message, and I hope that was helpful and encouraging, or whatever it was for you. I hope it was positive, and thank you for listening, and yeah, for being one of the bridgers and builders of this new energy, for anchoring it here on the earth by living it and loving it and enjoying it, and just know you're not alone in this. There are so many doing this with you, and we're all doing it together, and it's beautiful and exciting. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time if I do. Much love. Bye-bye.